sustain the fight? And of course, with the winter coming, do you think they can sustain the military gains and continue forward with the current level of assistance? And Minister Prabowo, if I may, you're meeting with Secretary Austin, as you said, just days after meeting with your Chinese counterpart, Wei Fenghe, to announce new joint military exercises that are being resumed. But despite pressure from Western allies, you haven't dropped Indonesia's defense deals with the Russians and the Chinese, and you don't have many specific deliverables to announce today at your meeting with Secretary Austin. Does this signal at all that Indonesia is moving more towards China as a security partner? Thank you.
I'm not sure I get the essence of your question, in the sense that we do not cease our defense procurements from Russia and China. Is that your question?
Correct. Yeah. You don't have any new deliverables, it appears, with the United States regarding that. And despite pressure from Western officials, you haven't given up those deals. So I'm just curious how you see China as a security partner in that.
We have a long-standing relationship with Russia and China. We have relationships with Russia for many, many years. Our military uses Russian equipment. This is from many decades. And as I mentioned just before your question, our relationship with China is also very good. So our American friends know this and respect this. And our American friends do not pressure us, have never pressured us to cease our relationship with China. So we value our relationship with China. And as an independent and sovereign country, we reserve the right to use and acquire equipment from many, many countries. That's, I think, my answer.
Jack, Jack, in terms of your question on Ukraine, I think you know, to this point, we've provided over $20 billion worth of assistance to Ukraine. And we've heard us say that we'll continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. And you also know that this is an international effort, and you know that the entire I host a Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting every month that consists of ministers from not only from NATO but also from other countries around the globe. From the very first meeting, they have remained very committed to providing Ukraine as much assistance as we can provide Ukraine for as long as it takes. We've seen Ukraine use that assistance in very artful ways, and they've been very successful on the battlefield thus far. We've seen them take back, we've seen them defeat the Russians in the Battle of Kyiv. They've taken back Kharkiv. They have also most recently taken back the important town of Kherson. And so we've seen a number of successes on the battlefield. And as we go forward into the winter, we've done a lot to try to prepare the Ukrainians to be prepared for a fight in the winter and enable them to continue to keep pressure on their adversaries throughout the winter months. I think they'll be in much better condition than their adversaries because of the things that we provided them. And again, our focus is to support them throughout. Their focus is to make sure that they're doing everything to take back every inch of their sovereign territory. So hard to predict how things will evolve and on what timeline, but we're in this in support of Ukraine for as long as it takes.
My name is Flori from Republican newspaper. My question is about on Act 15 procurement regarding the transfer of technology aspects for Minister Prabowo. My question is, what are Indonesia expectations? And for Secretary Austin, my question is, what are technology the U.S. willing to provide to have interoperability with Indonesia Air Force? Thank you.
About the F-15, negotiations are continuing, and we are in advanced stages of that negotiation. And I think now is it will be dependent on, of course, the Indonesian government to finally decide the go-ahead at this time. Because, as you know, the priority of the government now is to control the COVID-19 pandemic and to be prepared for the impact on the food situation, food security of Indonesia, and the impact on inflation caused by the rise of the energy prices around the world. So the impact of the Ukraine war is very real, and all the warnings from international institutions, from the World Bank, the IMF, the ADB, etc., and the warning about the climate situation next year, the El Nino, which will mean a long dry period, which can impact our food production. This, of course, will factor in the final decision of the Indonesian government. But as the Ministry of Defense, we have calculated, we have designed a program together with our American partners in industry that we are confident, and I have advised our government that we are confident that the financial package is affordable, because these systems are systems that we will use for at least 25 to 30 years ahead. And we are in close discussions with Boeing for joint cooperation with our aviation industry, PTDI, GMF, dan sebagainya. Thank you.
Well, we certainly support the minister's efforts to continue to modernize their defense systems and capabilities, and we want to be helpful in any way we can, continue to be helpful in any way we can. As you know, you already have a healthy contingent of F-16s. The F-15 platform provides additional capability, and those two platforms complement each other. Just as you see in the U.S. forces, we have a number of different types of platforms that work together. Now, the acquisition of the F-15 certainly increases interoperability. It enables our ability to share information, and as we train on those platforms, we'll train together to make sure that we're using common policies and practices, and I think that will increase the overall capability of in terms of total capability. So I think this platform brings a lot if the leadership decides to go that route, and I hope they do. But again, in terms of specific instrumentation and capabilities, that's not something that I could address in this forum.
Our final question goes to Jennifer Jacobs, Bloomberg News.
Minister Prabowo, on the Boeing fighter jets again, can you reach a deal on those jets by the end of the year, do you think? And is Boeing okay with Indonesia's request to pay for the jets in installments over time? And for Secretary Austin, sir, On Elon Musk and China, some U.S. officials have been discussing whether there might be some potential national security risks from his business ventures. And Mark Warner, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, recently said that no American was more beholden to China than Elon Musk. Wondering if you'd be willing to share some thoughts on that, please, sir.
Well, I certainly don't want to make any comments on any specific individuals. I would just say the Department of Defense does business with a number of different companies, and as you know, we have specific policies and procedures that we follow as we conduct that business, and we'll do everything that we do going forward will be, as it always is, in accordance with laws and prescribed procedures. And I'll just leave it at that.
Regarding the F-15 program, as I explained in my earlier response, the decision now is on the Indonesian government for the final political decision. Negotiations have advanced very well. On the second part of your question, yes, we discussed with Boeing and they have agreed to the financial package that we requested and that has been arranged. So everything is in place. This is going to be a political decision. As they say, I am responsible for defense. Political decision is what they say in the U.S., above my pay grade. So I'm not authorized to make any political decisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Tolong dibuka, tolong dibuka. Boleh buka. Tolong dibuka langsung.
I think time is up.
Thank you.